So once again, welcome to Skoliko training. All of you are able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. I think you're all able to see my screen. So welcome to the introduction to cybersecurity training. And in this program, we are going to embark a journey into cybersecurity. I know most of you are all from engineering background. Some of you are non-engineering. Some of them are just in the process of completing the degree program. So welcome you all.
Thank you, sir.
And I know you all have communicating in such a way that I will cover everything from basics. So today's key takeaways are, we'll start with introduction, and we discussed about top attacks, primarily, the Stuxnet. Then we will define cybersecurity, the components of cybersecurity. And in part 3, we get into various types of malware. And part 4, we will be looking into various type of attack vectors, how the attackers or hackers are getting into the system. We'll see the entire roadmap, how exactly they are making the attack, what are the components of their attack. Then we will also see artificial intelligence and its application in cybersecurity, and also we'll look into the quantum-inspired artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. What are its benefits? We'll be looking into. And then we get into our training curriculum. We have actually a 6-month training curriculum coming up, and we just go through the training curriculum. And then we get into various defensive mechanisms that are part of cybersecurity. And most importantly, we also will be talking about Skoliko Linux. Skoliko is in the process of developing a hardened Linux for protecting cyber attacks. Then we have a lab demo and a conclusion. And toward the end of the session, our director, Mr. Vincent Thomas, will be coming with a grand surprise. So please wait for that surprise. So that will be immediately after the demonstration. Let us start. In order to begin with, let us look into a very famous quote by Sun Tzu from a very famous book called as The Art of War. It says, "The art of war teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemy is not coming, but on our readiness to receive him, not on the chance of he is not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made our position unassailable or unattackable." Now, this is a very famous quote. Why I'm telling this? Because in cybersecurity, many concepts are inspired by art of war. For example, like penetration testing and ethical hacking. It is taken from the quote, "Attack to test defense." Similarly, the threat intelligence is based on know your enemy. Incident response playbooks, it is based on preparedness wins battles. And zero trust model, which is trust is vulnerability. And the deception technologies, which is followed in red teaming, which is basically based on the phrase warfare is based on deception. So deception is part of this red teaming offensive activities. Having said that, let us see what is the real reason for these cyber attacks. All our devices are connected. Our computers, our laptops, our mobile phones, our IoT devices, our camera, everything is connected. And many anonymous people are there in the network, and they can get into your system. They can exfiltrate or take away your data. They can even have physical damage into the infrastructures. And as per an estimate, there are over 5.4 billion internet users globally, and 50 plus billion IoT devices, and many critical infrastructures are running on digital systems. Even that includes power grids, hospital, transportation. And interestingly, our phone contains more personal data than ever existed in human history. So what happens when all this interconnected system or world comes under attack? So let us see some attack vectors. So in this particular map, it is called as a live threat map. Here we are seeing the currently going on attacks. As you can see, there are tables listed out. There are top attackers, top attacked, and we can always see that India is coming either first or second always. So India is under constant attack from various countries. And the cybercrime damages, it projected to reach about 24 trillion, I mean. And in every 11 seconds, there is a ransomware attack which is happening. And most of the time, or 95% of the successful cyber attacks are because of human errors. And who are all behind these attacks? There are nation state, government supported actors, criminal organization, hacktivists, and so on. And let us see the very first non-physical cyber attack, which is nothing but the very first cyber bomb called as Stuxnet. And the Stuxnet actually targeted Indian nuclear facilities. And they used a malware called as a worm. I will be explaining what is a worm later on in the session. And it destroyed about 1,000 plus nuclear centrifuges. As you know, the centrifuges are normally used in uranium enrichment. And what happened, this worm got into the Siemens PLCs, which is nothing but programmable logical controllers. They're controlling centrifuges, and the worm somehow shuttled through various computers, finally reached. After infecting thousands of computers, finally it could reach, even though the Siemens PLC was not directly connected. Somehow someone inserted a pen drive, plugged in a pen drive, and the system got infected, and the centrifuges started malbehaving. That means the malware or the worm made the centrifuges to rotate in one direction at a higher speed, then in the opposite direction in another speed, and finally what happens? 1,000 plus nuclear centrifuges failed. And this is the first or the very first cyber attack on physical systems, and that happened, and that's why Stuxnet is considered to be the very first cyber bomb. And another very famous attack is called as WannaCry ransomware. This ransomware, as you know, that the attackers or hackers will lock your file or encrypt your file, keep it hidden, and they will ask your ransom. And this ransomware called as WannaCry affected UK's National Health Services, Spanish Telecom, German Railways, etc. And for every attack, every machine, they were demanding something around $300 to $600 dollars worth Bitcoin. And this is one of the good example from where we can learn that one single vulnerability of Windows, which is called as an eternal blue, can paralyze an entire global infrastructure. And there are so many other attacks. So I can just enlist. I'm not going to read all of them, but you can see that there are SolarWinds in 2021. In 2025, there's a Toyota supply chain attack, and many, many examples you can see. You can actually see all of them have taken away a lot of money, and attackers have gained a lot of access to data. And when we see the Indian perspective, when India came under cyber siege, we can see so many examples like AIMS Delhi ransomware attack, Domino's India data breach, Mobvik data leak, Indian Railways, which prevents the booking system operating properly, and many things. Even on our UPS system, even our C-Edge technologies. Actually, C-Edge is a technology sits between the SBI and UPI. So they are the one managing all transactions between State Bank of India and our NPCI controlled UPI. So there were many ATM withdrawals paralyzed, many UPI cases being registered, and a lot of like a very cumulative loss of about 2,100 crore that has happened. So there are so many examples. So now what is the solution? Definitely the solution is cybersecurity. So what is cybersecurity? Let us see it. Cybersecurity is the practice of protecting digital systems, network, devices, programs, and data from cyber attacks, unauthorized access, damage, or theft. It consists of technologies processes, practices, and policies designed to defend against cyber threats in our interconnected digital world. And cybersecurity is a very large domain. We have many subdomains, namely network security, cloud security, endpoint security, IoT security, that is Internet of Things security, application security, and so on. And also there is something called a cyber warfare, which is an activity by National Army, and they try to invade other countries using cyber weapons, which is nothing but cyber warfare. Now, before getting into the cybersecurity aspect, we should learn the key terms like vulnerability. What is a vulnerability? Vulnerability refers to the weakness of an asset, the weakness in our system. So here I am referring to operating system. You know that most of our digital system, including our laptop, our servers, our mobile phone, are all having different type of operating systems. And these operating systems are having huge line of codes. The size is really big in terms of millions of line of code. For example, Windows alone have about 50 million line of codes. Mac OS having about 80 million line of code, and so on. So such a huge software is really complex. So complexity is the real problem. And when the software becomes too complex, it's very difficult to identify all vulnerabilities, or all the flaws in programming cannot be easily identified. That's why the attackers will always look for one single vulnerability and they create an attack. You must have definitely heard about zero-day vulnerability, wherein the vulnerability is already known and the patching or the preventive measure has not yet been installed. So vulnerability is one type. And the one is threat. A threat is caused to be attackers. They somehow get into your system and then they will be looking for vulnerabilities. Okay, so threat is always a potential for of a real threat to the organization, individuals, etc. And the risk is nothing but whenever this threat, the attacker is able to locate the vulnerability and generate an attack. Okay, so that is nothing but risk. Now let me quickly go through various type of malware. So we have viruses. Viruses are self-replicating code, and normally it attached to an existing file in your system, like executable file and even data files, etc. And one good example is I love you virus, which was very infamous at a point of time. Then we have worms. Worm is a standalone malware, and that spreads across networks without host files. Then rootkits. It is a malware. Malware is nothing but a malicious software which is hiding inside operating system to avoid detection and maintain continuous access. And they can create even user accounts, and they can take full control of the system by installing rootkits. Trojans are another malware which will be disguised as a legitimate software, but it will contain malicious code. For example, Zeus banking Trojan, it looks very genuine, but when we try to open it or click it, and it will affect the entire system. And there are different types of Trojan, like backdoor Trojan, banking Trojan, downloader Trojan, spyware Trojan, ransom Trojan, etc. So there is a diagram over here you can see, which is depicting all type of malware. And I can just show you quickly various type of viruses. I just have already mentioned about the I love you virus. It was actually a mail attachment, and there is a Melissa virus. It is based on Microsoft Word macro, and it will be it has created a lot of disruption for email systems and so on. I'm not reading all of them. Similarly, for worms, there are plenty of examples. Similarly, Trojans, the Zeus, Dark Comet. And for ransomware, WannaCry I have just mentioned, and the CryptoLocker. And there's another category of malware called as spyware. And you must have definitely heard about Pegasus, which is a commercial graded spyware that can silently exfiltrate data. And it can even activate your camera, microphone. It can surveil targets, mobile devices, etc. And these are all examples for rootkits. Rootkit is a malware which attack the root privileged account of your operating system, basically the core of the operating system, like kernel. And there are even fileless malware which resides in the memory without having any file format, and even keyloggers. Keyloggers are actually software, even there are hardware available, hardware keyloggers are available. They can actually, take away all the keystroke that you have made. So if you have typed your username, password, definitely the hackers can easily take away your username and password through keyloggers, okay, and so on. So now, what is the future battlefield? So when we talk about the future battlefield, the one thing that automatically comes is artificial intelligence. So we have now artificial intelligence powered attacks. We have deepfake, that means AI generated fake videos, audios, AI enhanced phishing. Phishing is nothing but a genuine looking link. When you click it, it will be opening the attacker's website or systems, and you will be easily being attracted towards their activities. And there are automated vulnerability discovery, then IoT and infrastructure attacks, and cryptocurrency and blockchain threats. There is something called as cryptojacking, wherein you conduct secret crypto mining using victims' computer or victims' resources, even wallet attacks, and mobile and cloud threats, etc. And now let us see how these cyber attack vectors are created, how exactly these attackers are getting into your system. So they can attract you through various types of social engineering attacks. Social engineering attacks are basically done to collect your important information. This is part of footprinting, which is the very first activity mostly the attackers are performing. Phishing, spear phishing, and a set of similar phishing are being listed. I'm not reading all of them, but there are plenty of them actually. And then there are technical attack methods. There are SQL injection. SQL is a database related term. It is a structured query language. So we can actually create vulnerabilities by modifying SQL data. There is cross-site scripting, CRSF. Even there are distributed denial of service attacks, etc. Even password attacks like a brute force attack, dictionary attack, etc. So there are so many different means the attackers are using to get into your system. And for example, in the case of brute force attack, they will try to find your passwords. They try to find your password by brute forcing, trying all possible combinations. And also there are other methods, like for example, there are rainbow tables which can be used to get all passwords. Like for example, there is a rainbow table for all 8-character passwords which are available in the world, etc. Right now, since there is a cyber security skill gap, there is a greater opportunity. In a sense, there is a very high demand for cybersecurity experts. There are about 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs worldwide. And every year, we can see there is a growth or increase in demand for cybersecurity experts. And the salary potential for a beginner is about 3 to 8 lakh. And as you are becoming more experienced, the salary scale is also very attractive. And that's what it is being shown in this particular one. And when you reach like a security director or a chief security officer position, you will definitely be able to get a very huge salary. So this is about a salary potential. And there's as I told you, there is a growth projection of about 35% job growth up to about 2031. There are diverse career paths possible in cybersecurity, like ethical hacking, penetration testing, security analysis, incident response, forensic investigation, security architecture. So these are all various career paths. And this is actually a right time to join into cybersecurity because there's a high demand and there are so many remote work opportunities available, higher job security, and multiple career paths, and it's actually a recession-proof industry. Now, in order to succeed in cybersecurity, and if you want to be a very good ethical hacker, then you need to have some basic prerequisites. Like there should be very good technical foundation. You should know very well about operating system. At least one programming language like Python you should be good at. You should know PowerShell. You should have some idea about databases, especially SQL and web technologies, system architecture. No need to worry. Actually, we will help you in all these things. So whoever joins Skoliko, We will help them learning all these things, and actually we will bridge the gap that they have on these basic technical foundations. Then it's very essentially, you should know about security fundamentals like the CIA triad, the confidentiality, integrity, availability principles. Cryptography. You should know cryptography is the solution for many of the cybersecurity threats. So we try to encrypt, we perform hash, we authenticate content, digital signatures, and there has to be a public key infrastructure, then authentication mechanism, vulnerability management, risk assessment, etc. And another key domain in cybersecurity is network security. Here, because you know that network is the real reason for the attacks, because every device is, as I told you in the second or third slide, that the reason for cybersecurity threats is because of network connectivity, and every devices are connected, including our IoT devices. So it's very essential to understand network and its security protocols. So we should know what are different network protocols. I have listed them. Firewalls. We should know how to block the incoming malicious content, malicious packets. And there has to be intrusion detection system, IDS, intrusion prevention system. Then VPN technologies, network monitoring, wireless security. You should have a clear understanding of them. And also at the same time, we should also know about the government policies and standards. So compliance and governance is very important. So this one I'm showing some regulatory framework internationally. We know about ISO standard, NIST framework, and so on. Similarly, on an Indian context, we have Indian cybersecurity regulations. There are IT Act, CERT guidelines, and so cybersecurity experts should know about Indian and international cybersecurity regulation. That is also equally important. And also, there has to be sufficient soft skills, like should be able to communicate the the risk that have been observed. So that is very important in business, like translating technical risk into to business, incident management, training and awareness, project management, and then we will be using actually many tools. Actually, sometimes we develop programs, we can even develop our own tools, but there are plenty of tools available. And we are using, in our course, we are going to use Pareto as well as Kali Linux. And it contains many tools like, SIEM tool, actually security information and event management tools like Splunk, QRadar. There are vulnerability scanners like Nessus, etc. Then we have a set of tools for penetration testing, which includes Metasploit, Burp Suite, Kali Linux, and there are many forensic tools, cloud security tools, etc. And then another most important thing is, security is a very relative term in a sense. Whatever you feel that secure today need not be secure tomorrow. So because the security domain is keep changing. There are new types of attacks are generated. So it's very important to continue your learning. You should certify. You should, actually, by joining Skoliko, you will be able to join many certification programs. You'll be able to directly write the, certification program, and you can complete. And there are many threat intelligence activities you should be aware of. Security research area, we should know what are the vulnerability research, exploit development, and so on. Now let us see the steps in ethical hacking. So when I say hacking, definitely we are not going to the red team hacking, where we are going more offensive. That is something which we are not doing. We are going towards blue teaming, wherein we have ethical, we call it as an ethical hacking. We don't do anything unethical. So what is the first thing what we do is we plan and prepare ourselves. You obtain proper authorization, testing all network boundaries, identify target system. And the next one is reconnaissance. Gather all information. It is also called as footprinting. You gather all the information. We collect the target systems or target networks map you will be drawing, and we'll be using a tool to identify what all machines which are running at the target, which operating system the target is running. So we collect all this information. Even if we use some social engineering approach, we'll be using Google docking technique, etc., to collect details about the target. Then we conduct various type of scanning. We start with network scanning, port scanning. We start using simple ping tool. Ping program will be used to identify the availability of machines. We also check ports. What are the ports which are opened at the destination? We'll try to find out. I'll be demonstrating a thing little later. Then once the scanning completes, enumeration completes, then the ethical hacker try to gain access. They try to exploit a few things. We'll be using certain framework like a Metasploit framework, etc., to develop such tools or to develop certain payload to exploit these things which has been identified, the ports which has been opened, etc. Then we conduct password attacks and so on. Then web application attack like SQL injection attack. We conduct cross-site scripting attack. Then once we are successful, we try to maintain access. We always create a backdoor into the system. So anytime we will be able to the ethical hacker will be able to modify the system to monitor the system. We also will be able to escalate the privilege. In a sense, it is possible that if somebody is not an administrator, we can take him, escalate him to an administrator position. Once he's an administrator of the system, he will be able to install, he will be able to manipulate the entire system. And then we do all analysis and final reporting, because in ethical hacking, this is the sixth phase is very important, because ultimately our duty is to identify the weaknesses in the system. So we prepare a report for that. So this is another diagram which shows the activities involved in it. So reconnaissance, identify the weakness, then delivering the payload, exploitation, installation, command and control of the system, and actions on the objectives, and finally, for a red team or offensive category people, they try to monetize it. So that is not our target. But here, always remember that ethical hacking must be conducted with proper authorization, within defined scope, and with the intention of improving security. And we never exploit any vulnerability for personal gain or malicious purpose. That's very important. That is the reason why in Skoliko, we only do ethical hacking, and we use everything in a very protected environment using virtual machines. So I'm going to talk about that. So if you want to perform ethical hacking, if you want to conduct experimentation on ethical hacking, we need such a framework. So for example, here we are using a set of virtual machines. So we need to have a virtual machine player like VirtualBox, VMware. For example, in this picture, we are using VMware, and in VMware, we are installing multiple virtual machines. Like for example, in this diagram, we have Parrot operating system. We have an Ubuntu server. We have a Metasploit virtual machine running on Kali Linux, and we also have a Windows 10 victim machine. So we can see that we have some victim machines and also an attacker machine. And very important to remember that this network that we create in your computer is totally protected. No communication will be going out of this network. And we call them as a host-only network. So we'll be always using host-only network to practice our penetration testing and others. So the attack vectors include network scan, which include Nmap. So today I'll be showing Nmap, and there are many vulnerabilities, web application, exploitation, post-exploitation activities are being conducted using various tools. And also we'll be developing programs to support them. And we have so many categories of tools that we are going to use for penetration testing and exploitation. We have Metasploit framework, Burp Suite, etc. So I'm not going to read all of them, but you can actually have a look onto it. There is network scanning tool like Nmap and so on. We have vulnerability assessment and management tool. We have password cracking and credential attacks tools. We have forensic and malware analysis tool like autopsy, volatility, etc. We have SIEM and log management tool. We have threat intelligence tool. We have wireless and IoT security tool, and cloud and container security tool, etc. So this is actually the entire procedure that is being followed by hackers. Okay, so we have reconnaissance as the very first stage. Then reconnaissance means you gather the information. As I told you, it is also called as footprinting. Then threat modeling, weaponization, delivery, then exploitation, installation, command and control, then lateral movement and escalation of privileges, data collection and exfiltration, and action on the objectives, finally clean up and covering tracks. So these are the excuse me, the steps that will be followed. At the same time, we also will be learning many security protocols like IPsec. I will teach you how to configure IPsec, TLS, etc. So IPsec is actually to encrypt every traffic moving from one machine to another machine through your network, so that no man in the middle, no attacker can actually see our communication. So that can be implemented using, that can be configured using these protocols. So we have set of, cybersecurity protocols. So you will be getting a very clear understanding in detail about these protocols. And then let us come to artificial intelligence. You know that artificial intelligence is considered to be a double-edged sword in our case, because it helps attackers. At the same time, it helps the cybersecurity experts. So artificial intelligence, as you know, that you are giving a machine the ability to think, ability for reasoning, learning, adaptability, perception, etc. I think you know already about artificial intelligence tools. So these are the basic elements, and it is capable of solving problems, and it can also mimic intelligence using various techniques. You know how AI mimics this intelligence. Definitely, it is through algorithm, data, and using computational power, and machine learning algorithms. Learn patterns from the data that you feed into machine learning algorithm. It can perform natural language processing. It also can perform computer vision. So by having artificial intelligence techniques, we can actually improve our cybersecurity in threat detection. We can have the data can be analyzed, the threat can be analyzed in real time. We can have incident response, even vulnerability management, predictive analytics, endpoint protection, fraud detection, and cyber asset attack surface management, even cloud security. In all these domains, artificial intelligence can be used in cybersecurity. So we'll be discussing each one of them later. And another domain is nothing but the quantum mechanics based quantum computer. As you know, the quantum computers are in use these days. Not to public. We have certain prototypes which are available with Google and IBM, and it's a very bulky machine as it looks like a chandelier. And quantum computers are very powerful because the basic unit of computations begins with qubit, stands for quantum bit, and which has three basic principles, namely superposition, entanglement, and quantum tunneling. So by having qubit to have more states, not just binary one and so there are many states in between. Definitely, it can actually exponentially improve the performance of computing. And there is entanglement using which where the qubits, even if they are widely separated, they can actually communicate in a sense. When we make a state change in one qubit, it can you can very easily measure the state of the other qubit. And similarly, there is a quantum tunneling wherein it can actually cross barriers. So these are three key principles in quantum computer, and this quantum computing and artificial intelligence can be combined. We can say that quantum machine learning or quantum artificial intelligence. So one of the important things that we can achieve with this one is quantum parallelism. So we can perform massive operations. As you know, that most of the time we have to work on linear algebra, wherein we have to work on matrices, vectors, and many a time in machine learning we have to deal with the neural networks. And as you know, neural network, if at all, if we can make it parallel, instead of solving one single classification problem, we can have multiple classification problems solved by the neural network parallelly. Then you can choose the best one. And also, it's very importantly, one of the important aspect of neural network is the parameter tuning. We have to find the best parameter, the best weight, so that our we'll have minimum errors. So we can actually improvise that using quantum parallelization, and similarly quantum enhanced feature space exploration, And quantum sampling can be, especially when it comes to quantum generative adversarial networks, to create a very highly realistic, useful synthetic data. We can use quantum computing technique, quantum artificial intelligence technique. So in cybersecurity, we can actually, when it comes to, as I told you earlier, quantum computing has a negative impact also, because by using quantum computing, the existing cryptographic algorithms can be broken very easily, like RSA, ECC, Diffie-Hellman algorithm. As you know, they are the most popular algorithm. They are the basic building block of cybersecurity. And once the quantum computers became in practice, it is possible that these algorithms can be broken. It's very easy to break them in few seconds. And also, we can actually, even the password cracking also, there is a Grover's algorithm using which we can actually crack the passwords quite easily. And there are many AI-powered attacks which are possible. So that is also something which you need to understand. And there are quantum defensive mechanisms. The protection mechanism, we can have quantum cryptography. There is a QKD. There is a quantum key distribution, and there is a quantum random number generation, which is already available in some of the even Galaxy phones. There is a quantum random number generation is already in practice. And since the quantum computers are not available publicly, it's not the quantum computers are not available as a general purpose computer. So it's only available as like a cliche models. But we can inspire many things from quantum computing or quantum inspired machine learning. So let me see the message. It's all right now. Okay. Thank you very much. Really sorry for that. So I have been mentioning about machine learning application in cybersecurity, and also about the quantum inspired machine learning in Python. In cybersecurity, and how we can use Python libraries to mimic the behavior of quantum computers, and so that we can improvise and primarily parallelize operations. We can have, for example, multiple neural networks, and we can improve the performance of the machine learning, especially in the calculation of weights in neural network. We can speed up this, and that is the primary idea. So that way, once you have such a facility available, definitely it is possible that we can improve the cybersecurity attacks. And this is actually a slide which shows the red team, blue team, purple team. As you know, red team is MOSIC. Again, there's a potential. Okay. There's a red team, which is basically, mostly their activities are quite offensive. And that also there are definitely offensive. Whenever we use it ethically, we call it as ethical hacking. Then wherein we perform penetration testing, blackboard testing. Then there's a blue team, where normally blue teaming is more defensive in nature. Data collection and implementation team is primarily. And there is someone who is sitting in between them, and that is nothing but purple team. And let us quickly go through this, the Skoliko 36-week training program. I'll just quickly go through it without wasting much of the time. And we have 6 phases in this particular, cybersecurity training program. And 30% of the course is based on artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we align with the NIXT framework. And we have many portfolio-ready projects available. And these are the 6 phases which are available part of it. We have cybersecurity fundamentals, threat detection and defense, then advanced defense techniques, then offensive security, specialized topics, capstone and certification preparation, etc. In phase 1, these are the things. In week 1, we have confidentiality, integrity, availability. Confidentiality means protecting your data through encryption so that no eavesdropping is possible. Integrity means to make sure that things are not modified on the go. So we have integrity, and the systems. We use a hashing algorithm over there. Then on availability, availability is basically to make sure that all the services which are available without any interruption. So we have CA triad, we have cyber threats, team role, like all the teams that I was just mentioning. Then different type of framework like NIST and the week 1. Then week 2, I'm not reading all of them. I think you can just see this. We have in the networking basics will be covered in week 2nd and 3rd. And in week 4, we have operating system security, which covers operating system security, system hardening, patch management, log analysis. Then in phase 2, we are going to threat detection. We start with the cryptography. We'll make you understand everything about the basic or highly applied cryptographic algorithm like AES, RSA, and then hashing algorithm, secure communication algorithm. Then in week 6 to 7, we have SIEM tools and all associated threat detection and everything. Then in week 8, we have incident response and forensic. And in phase 3, we have pen testing and artificial intelligence. And in week 11, we have web application security. Herein, we'll talk about all SQL injection, cross-site scripting, injection attacks. Okay. And then in week 12, we have social engineering, phishing attacks, various types of phishing attacks, how we can have the campaign development, even AI generated threats. We'll be talking about deepfake technologies, how it is being used, how we can detect, how we can classify whether it is a deepfake or an original, video or audio. Then awareness training. Then we have advanced defense techniques. Wherein we talk about endpoint security, malware analysis. Then we have network security intrusion detection system, and without AI and with AI. Then we get into cloud security fundamentals in week 16, and in phase 5 we have specialized topics on wireless and IoT security. Then on week 18 we have mobile security, and week 19 to 20 we have all red team versus blue team exercises, how we plan and execute red team operations. We also make you go through various CTF, which is nothing but capture the flag challenges, and we make you solve it, so that that will be really helpful for you. You can also participate in the international CTF competitions. We have capture the flag competitions. And in the last phase, we have capstone and certification preparation. And here we have the 21st, we have an advanced threat hunting, wherein we have proactive threat hunting methodology. Then week 22, we have cybersecurity compliance and risk management. And then in the last 2 weeks, like week 23 and 24, we'll be focusing on your capstone project. In fact, in every phase, we have projects. And finally, towards the last 2 weeks, we have comprehensive, or we can say capstone project with certification preparation. Okay. And the training will cover many artificial intelligence-based cybersecurity activities, starting with fundamentals, anomaly detection, automated penetration testing with vulnerability exploitation, AI-generated deepfake and social engineering attacks, malware classification techniques, behavioral analysis techniques, intrusion detection system, even in IoT anomaly detection, anomaly detection, then AI-powered threat hunting, AI in risk assessment, and so on. So this is actually a diagram which shows the 4 important areas wherein we concentrate, like threat detection and prevention, fraud detection, security orchestration, and user and entity behavior classification. Okay, and what are the tools we are going to use? As I told you, virtualization is the primary thing, because we are going to use in a sandboxed environment where the attacking machines, the attacker machine, all are sitting in a hostile network. So virtualization is definitely going to be used, and we are going to use operating system like Kali Linux, Parrot OS, Ubuntu server, Windows servers. And we are also using, various networking tools like DNS3, Packet Tracer. We have, security tools we'll be using, and so on. And now, when it comes to defensive security, this is actually the entire defensive security map. And the Skoliko Linux play a major role, because we are developing a security hardened Linux with all these tools available. And so we can actually detect rootkits. We can actually configure our local firewall using IP tables. We have virtualization facility. We have intrusion detection system using Snort. We have log monitoring facilities, and we have a few antiviruses available, and many even password security. We have facilities like John the Ripper tool, and definitely the packet analyzer, packet capturing tools like Wireshark, TCP dump also will be available, part of the Skoliko Linux, and that is our thing. So now, having said this, I think you might have got a brief idea regarding how or what are the important components of cybersecurity. Now let me come to, okay, so now let us see our virtual machine setup. So in the virtual machine setup, we have, I think all of you are able to see my, please, put some messages, please. You're able to see my screen. Okay, great. Meanwhile, let me post a link in which you can actually put your doubts. Okay, so what you have to do, this is actually a Google form. It's a form. The link is already given here. In the link you click, you can ask me up to 3 questions. You can fill it, and finally after the end of the class, I will be just going through each one of your doubts. So this is the link. I'll post once again. Please check this. Right. So now we have 2 virtual machines here. We have a Parrot OS virtual machine. We have an Ubuntu virtual machine. You can see, all of them, one after the other. So we have the Parrot OS, we have Ubuntu OS, and the first thing what we have to do is, the very first thing what we have to do is, you have to go to our the virtual machines virtual network editor. So you have to change settings to administrator so that you can create your own network. So for example, here, if you want, you can create your own network. So what you have to do is, first you have to install your virtual machine, which is nothing but VMware. And in VMware, you can install any number of virtual machines provided you have sufficient memory. For example, if you
Sir,
have,
I can't see the screen. Sorry.
Is that okay? Let me see it. Is that possible? Okay, great. So what we have to do is, we have to first configure, as you know, in order to do all these cybersecurity activity, you should be really good in networking. You should know about IP addresses. You should know about how to configure the IP address of machine, etc. Because you know that ultimately the most important thing is to. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, because some of you are typing. Yeah, good. Right. So what is the most important thing is to configure your. So let me start. So you have to configure the network. So what you have to do is, after installing, for example, I have Parrot OS. So this is my Parrot OS, and this is my Ubuntu server. Ubuntu server, as you know that it is only command terminal based. There is no GUI running, and since there is no GUI, you can save a lot of memory. You don't have to configure it with higher memory. So what I have to do is, I have my Parrot OS. So what you do, open the terminal. So in the virtual network editor, what I have done is, I have created a new network. After giving administrator privilege, I have added a network. You can choose one of the available network which is available in the in your VMware. And after choosing one of them, then you make it as, for example, in our case, we are using VM2, VMnet2, which is a host-only network. The host-only network is a network in which the machines can only communicate among themselves. There is no external communication. So it's a totally, completely isolated network. So for example, if you know that NAT means it will be sharing the host machine's IP address. Host-only host-only network is the best way of having ethical hacking. So here, what you do, we also will be configuring DHCP setting. We decide the subnet. For example, here 192.168.100. I think whoever they know about networking only will be able to understand these concepts. Then we have DHCP settings, wherein we decide what is the starting IP address and what are the IP addresses that can be assigned to these machines. So for example, here 192.168.100.128, this is the starting address. So, here the server, after configuring all of them, we have created a host-only network. So here now I'll be giving the command IP address. So when I give IP address command, I'll be able to get the IP address of the machine. So you can see here, IP address of the machine is 192.168. So you can see here, just above the command, you can read the option 2. In option 2, we have the IP address is 192.168.100.128. Okay. So similarly, we can come to ParrotOS, open a terminal. So you can see the IP address. You can see the IP address of this ParrotOS is 192.168.100/24 because it is in CIDR format. So /24 is nothing but the network ID part. So you get it. Please need not worry that those they don't have much of an exposure to the network concept. In Skoliko training, we will cover all these basics. You don't have to worry at all. So now let us see. I think about ping tool. So let me give a ping. So I will be giving 192.168.100.128. That is the IP address of the Ubuntu server. So you can also give, for example, ping. You can give a count of 5. Then you can give 192.168.100.128. So you can see that the pinging is going on. That means the host-only network, the hosts are able to communicate each other. This you can repeat. You can go to Ubuntu server. So in the Ubuntu server, you can do the reverse pinging. So you can say some 5 ping commands. So I'll say 192.168.100.129. 129 is the IP address of the ParrotOS. So again, you can see that the pinging is very successful. There are 64 bytes have been sent. So everything done very perfectly well. And now what I'm going to show you now is in Ubuntu server, we have Apache server actually. We have Apache server. So we can actually get the status of Apache server. We've already given the command here. So we can say system control status Apache 2. You can see, you can click over it and you can see and give the password. You can see that it is running. So you can say that the Apache HTTP server, and it started. It's already running. And once if it is starting, and you can see currently, you can give a PWD command to see the current location. Currently, we are at the root. From root, we have gone to the variable directory, and under that we have worldwide www directory. Under that HTML. So here, if you give ls command, we can see there is an index.html. Index.html. If I can give a nano command and I can get what is that index.html. I can see I have created a small HTML file. I've written welcome to Skoliko, etc., etc. So I have done it. So I'll just put it. So we have, we'll come to ParrotOS, and we are running now a command which is called as curl command. curl curl, and a curl command, and then provide the IP address 192.168. IP address of the machine in which our Apache server is a web server. We can host websites. And here I have already installed an HTML file over there. So 192.168.100.128. If I give this command, as you can see over here, it has returned an entire web page, entire web page. But here, web page is not visible because what we are getting is only all HTML tags. But if you want to watch the page, you can always click open a browser. Then you can give HTTP colon 192 dot, which is already here. So this is the web page actually. Okay. So now what we are having is we have a server wherein we have our Apache server is running. We have Parrot OS, which can actually request the web server for web pages. And now let me actually get through some end mapping, because in ethical hacking, the very first thing what we are trying to do is reconnaissance, wherein we try to get the details of the target machine. So what we are going to do now is we'll go to Ubuntu server. Oh no, before let us here only. Let us run an nmap script. Let us say sudo nmap /sn, then 192.168.100.0/24. So this is basically to get all IP addresses in the subnet, which is, in order to make sure that you are within the subnet. And then I will give my password. Then it will be listing. Sorry, I made a mistake in spelling. So this is actually the very first stage of ethical hacking. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to find what are the machines that are running at the target network. Okay, in the target. So we know the target network ID, which is 192.168.100. Now we are trying to find out what are the machines which are currently running. So it says that these are all the machines which are running. So this is actually the network interface. And it says that there is a machine which is 192.168.100.128, which is running. So with this thing, by analyzing this response, we will be able to find that what are the machines which are active at the target. At the target network. Okay. So now at the Ubuntu machine, here I'm going to run one network listener. So I'll say, actually you can, this is actually a netcat command. I will teach you what is a netcat command. So later on, so nc/l, and /l means I am making a port in listening mode, and I'll give the port number, for example, 9999. So this is the port number. And I'll just click over this, and in Parrot OS, I'll give a command. So we have one port which is running. So now we have identified there is a machine with an IP address of 192.168.100.128, which is already active and running in that network. So what I'm going to do now, I will give a sudo nmap the command. I'll give 192.168.100.128, and I'll press enter. So it'll be starting the nmap. It will take a bit of time because it has to go through all the ports which are running. Port is actually a point of entry and exit of process in machines. So if there is an open port which is available in a machine, it's very easy for an attacker, a hacker, to generate an attack by using that particular one. So it has said that there is an FTP port which is at 21. So you can see this one. There is a 22. There is a port number 22, which is SSH. There is an HTTP, which is port number 80. These are all the common one, and this is the one. Port number 999, which is open in the abyss, means which is without any purpose. Like something like an unknown application which is running over there. So we understand that this particular port number 999 is being open. This is open. So now what we can try to do is we can actually generate using this open port, and we can also use there is an application which is called as ZenMap. There is an application which is Okay, currently. You can go to. So these are all the tools which are available in Paratois. So you have plenty of tools available, and we have exploitation tools and networking tools and so on. So currently my Zen map is having issue. Let me check it. Let me open. Anyway, in order to cut short our operations, let me actually as you know, Wireshark. Let me open Wireshark. At the same time, I think sometime I am making some spelling mistakes. So sudo. Yeah. Here, here again, this is actually Zen map. So here again, we can, we can give the target machine IP address, for example, and you can give, for example, there is a quick scan. But before you make the quick scan, you have to get into Ubuntu server, and you have to make sure that you are running a port which you are listening, an abyss port, in fact. And here you are coming, and then you click scan, and it will actually enlist. So the target machine will be scanned for any open port. So this way also we can actually visualize all the open port, and we can actually listen. And then we have a Wireshark. Over here, as you know, Wireshark is a packet capturing tool. Using this one, actually, in the lab sessions, what we try to do is we'll be actually communicating the Paratois between Paratois and Kali Linux. The Ubuntu server. And Ubuntu server is already running our, the Apache server. And we'll make all the communication happening between these two, systems. Then what we do, we try to capture the packet. So for example, ENS33 is the interface name. You can actually use a command called as IP link show. You can give IP link show. For example, here I can say IP link show. You can get the interface, the network interface. This is the command to get the. So here you can find ENS33 is the the network or the network interface. That is very essential. So here you have to select ENS33, and then you can keep capturing the packet. And during capturing, make sure that you are selecting the appropriate the interface, and then you can start capturing, and you can actually apply so many filters. And finally, so for example, here you see the SendMap has already listed out all the ports, interestingly. So you can close it. So identify that 999 port is the one which we can definitely use for attack. And so let me close it for the time being. And now I have written, say, assume that I already have captured certain packets. So let me go to my directory. So I have actually, there's a packet demo folder. Here, I have actually a Python program. So this Python program uses CAPI library. It uses CAPI library, and the purpose of this CAPI library is to actually analyze packet, and it can work with various protocols like IP, TCP, etc. So we'll be importing all important libraries, and then we, after capturing the packet using the Wireshark, actually I can run this Python code, and so that I can actually dissect all the packets. I can dissect, in a sense, I can get the source IP address, destination IP address, source port, and after capturing the packet between Paratois and Ubuntu, all the packets I can actually dissect to find even the payload. Even if there is a plain password which are exchanged between the machine, I can actually find it out. Okay, so we will be doing all of them. So just for the sake of demonstration, let me run the program, because already I have a captured packet. because for capturing packet itself, it will take some time. So I'm just skipping that step. So when I run this program, I get now a lot of information regarding the packets which are captured between your Parrot OS and the Ubuntu server. You can say there are raw packets. So it gives all messages like from which IP address to which IP address the communication has happened and its payload, and from which port to which port goes, etc. So this way, we can capture the packet, we can analyze, and also we can identify any potential weakness in the system. So here, one of the weaknesses, everything is going as a plain text because purely HTTP communication that should not be allowed in modern network. And in modern network, and all these communication should be encrypted. Okay. Now let me come back to the classes. So we have now almost in the finishing stage. So now let us come to the Skoliko's training session. Actually, unfortunately, there was a network interruption and there was an interruption in the flow. I'm really sorry of that. But anyway, in Skoliko, we have our 6-month job ready program. And this is our 6-month cybersecurity mastery thing. And we have interactive labs and we have one-to-one feedback based mentorships. And we help you build your portfolio. We make you to engage in CTF challenges. We will make you to have GitHub pages. And we also will be make you to participate in some CTF competition through some national CTF clubs. And we also, the most important thing is we will prepare you to participate in or to attend various international certification like CompTIA Security Plus, CEH, CISP, OSCP, SSP, etc. And also there are, we will prepare you by conducting mock exams, and we will be providing you study guides, and we conduct mock interviews, and we will help you in preparing your resumes. And we have actually many job referrals. Skoliko itself is partnering with many countries. Many organizations.